I grew up in a rural community, so I know what that is like. My sister was asthmatic, so I know what that is like. It was like 20 minutes to the main road.
Oh
A
my
asthma
gosh.
patient cannot walk. We had to get people to lift her up to take her to the main road, to take her to the hospital, which was like maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour away. So
Ooh,
I totally understand and know what it's like in a rural community. And that's one of our passions also, to ensure that the rural communities really have the coverage that they need, because we cannot afford to let healthcare die, right? And it's not for the people at the top, it's for the people at the bottom,
yeah,
because the people at the
100%.
top can go anywhere to get it, but the people at the bottom, they have to use what's close to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's what it's about. We're not going to cry here.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Future CRNA. Welcome back to today's episode. I am bringing a very special guest to you as Keisha Manning, who has started a company called NursesBnB. Many of you are travel nurses. Many of you are navigating that complexity of finding housing. So I had the privilege to connect with Keisha and welcome Keisha to the show.
Hi, thank you so much, Jen. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about what inspired you to start Nurses B&B.
I started Nurses BNB because of a problem that I was having. So my background is that I used to work as a travel nurse also, and the housing challenge was terrible. And on one of my assignments, one of my colleague, he could not find anywhere to stay, and he ended up sleeping in his car. And after 2 nights, he quit the assignment. But the housing challenge is something that we know about. But at that moment when that happened to him, it's like it was a jolt, oh my God, this person have to sleep in his car and he's not homeless. And it rested on me for like a whole month. It was in my spirit. I remember I came home and I told my husband about it. And because it was just on my mind. And this is a gentleman. He's not like a young person. I mean, this person to me appeared to be like in his 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And it rested on me. And that's the reason why I went ahead and created a Nurses BNB. The other aspect of Nurses BNB, why it was imperative that I created it, was that as nurses, I felt like, and I saw where people were being scammed on the other platforms that we would book on. We would go pay money over that website. You go, you talk to somebody, you pay them your money. When you go, there is no property, right? It's a nightmare out there. And that's the reason why I created Nurses BNB, to give the healthcare professional an easier route to finding housing, because hospitals take a handoff approach to travel nurses. They're like, okay, here's a job, you find your housing for the most part. So we want to come into the space because we are healthcare professionals and we are nurses, right? And most of the time, the problems that nurses face are not solved unless a nurse stands up and do it.
Absolutely.
So that's my reason for doing nurses.
I love that. And I love the problem you're solving. It is definitely a pain point. I know I shared with you in private that, where I work, we have students who are coming for their clinical rotations all the way from California to Ohio, from Arizona to Ohio. And it's often like a panic mode. Where am I going to stay? How much is it going to cost? Is it going to be furnished? Is it going to be safe? And so this is a really huge gap that you're filling. And that's leads to my next question is kind of, other than the fact that it's secure and that it's not a scam, what kind of is unique about Nurses B&B as far as the places to stay? Do they come furnished, or how can they kind of uniquely suit the nurses' needs who are needing temporary housing?
And that's a great question, because what we do is that we ensure that these homeowners actually own or have permission to list that property. And that's something that nobody else in the industry is doing. I know that other platforms might say that they're doing it, but we are the originators of that, right? And that's where we started from the beginning. So what that means is that all these homeowners have been thoroughly vetted. So whether it be a physician, a nurse, a therapist, when they come to book, they don't have to be wondering, who is this person, right? They have the opportunity to speak to the owner prior to booking. They also have the opportunity to look at the safety rating of the area before they book, because we have all of that on the platform. And that gives them a peace of mind when they're booking on NursesBnB versus booking on another platform out there.
Mm-hmm.
We do not we are not a vacation platform. We don't do like vacation rental. So what I have said is that 80% of healthcare professionals are female, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just doing monthly booking, there are some that might want to just go for a stint, take a 2 weeks job. You have to run back to your baby, because we are in the field. We know if you know, you know, right? So you take a 2 week stint to make some money to go back home to your baby, because maybe you're coming off maternity leave, but you don't want to go back full time. So we make it in a way so that they can rent for 14 days also.
I like that.
So that's like that they can rent. So we have a lot of other features that are just unique to us, but of course those are our secret sauce. I can't really get into them.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I think that's awesome that you offer that.
Well, hello, future CRNA. Another daily dose of inspiration along your CRNA journey. This success story from our student starts as follows. I had my first ever interview yesterday afternoon and received a call this morning that I have been accepted into my top choice program. I'm still in shock and so excited. I didn't think this would ever be possible this year, since I hadn't been able to get any interviews at the other 2 schools I had applied to, but I kept studying and I kept praying. The timing was perfect and it happened exactly how it was supposed to. I'm so grateful for this community, the support and encouragement from everyone. The hard work that Jenny, Richard, and Dawn have put into this has been life-changing for me. Huge thank you to Haley Frank for a wonderful mock interview back in October. 100% recommend. The 5-day interview prep was so helpful, as well as all the other resources. I watched all the mock interviews as well. For those that compare yourself to others just like I did, just know that everyone has a different path. I have 3 years of CV-ICU experience, a CCRN, CSE, GRE of 302, a cumulative GPA of a 3.2. The last 60 credits, though, of GPA was a 3.7 and a science GPA of a 3.5. I really believe the interview is what pushed me to the top, because I was able to answer questions precisely, show my personality and my clinical knowledge. Keep pushing forward, because if I can do this, so can you. So I love this story because maybe they were having doubts about their overall GPA being closer to 3.2. But what I want to point out here is that they broke down their GPA between what was the last 60 credit hour GPA, as well as the science GPA and overall. So know that your GPA is not just one number. It has multiple moving parts to it. So you have to really know them all in order to make better decisions about how to move forward. I also love the fact that, they seemed like they were facing a lot of fear and a lot of doubt whether this was going to be possible for them, but the timing just worked, and they never would have experienced the success had they not tried. They applied and they got in. So for those of you who are questioning whether to wait a year, just apply and see what happens. Now, I will also caution you to make sure that you know if your school has an application limit. Some schools only allow you to apply once or twice or maybe 3 times. So make sure you know that prior to just winging it. I'm not saying to just wing it and get one in just to get it in. But I do think if you start the process of trying to apply to CRNA school and getting the feedback on how to move forward if you're not selected is really the quickest way to gain acceptance to CRNA school. So just start putting yourself out there and then take the feedback. So I hope you guys enjoyed this inspirational story. Congratulations, you know who you are, and I'm so excited for you. I'm rooting for you all the way through. Now back to the show.
And the safety rating is huge because a lot of hospitals are in inner cities, and I know that that's definitely an issue that our students face when they come from, California or Arizona. Where do they stay that's not too far away from the hospital that's actually safe? And some of the students, and they don't have transportation a lot of times when they come here. So some of them are like, can I walk? And I'm like, oh gosh, no, you don't want to walk. Like, that's really unsafe. And so, they want to be close enough potentially to be able to walk. But then where would that be to where that's actually safe? So I think that's great that you guys take that into account. Are most of your places furnished and that kind of thing as well? Like almost like
All of them.
All of them.
All of them are furnished. So if the property is not furnished, we are not going to publish it. And another thing is that sometimes we have a lot of properties that are not listed. So I always say, if you need a property and you're not finding anything when you're searching, reach out to us. Maybe we have something that we are going through. Sometimes we have backlog. We are checking we are vetting to ensure that they are safe, and we can speed up the process to give you that property to rent. So always reach out to us.
Okay, awesome. And are they kind of very accustomed to nurses working oddball shifts, like, night shifts and things of that nature? And awesome.
Yes, that was one of the problem that the young man had the night when he was calling, because the hotels wanted him to check in, like what's hotel check-in time?
Yeah, it's usually like 3-4 p.m. Yeah, in the afternoon.
Yes. And he was trying to explain to them, I am leaving work at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Can you allow me to check in at 10 a.m. the latest? And they said no. So it was just a very inhumane experience that he had that just transformed everything. So our hosts, they are flexible. I want to say all of them. And it's something that you can discuss directly with them. Even though they might have a time that they want you to check in, you can always discuss with them, and they can be flexible.
I love that. And I've also heard from travel nurses too, and I don't know if you can speak to this or not, but sometimes their contract abruptly ends. And I think that's kind of the unpredictable nature of being a travel nurse, is sometimes in the middle of a contract they'll say, yep, we're done. Or sometimes I've heard the opposite, where maybe things are going well, but they slash their pay. Maybe they were like, well, I'm not going to keep working for $10 less per hour, so then they want to end their contract. And so I would think that would get really muddy when it comes to housing that you have already maybe paid for, or, now how are you going to get your money back for that as well? Is that stuff that you've kind of thought about as well?
Yes, I'm an ICU nurse. We have thought about everything, like literally everything. We have on the platform where we protect the nurse, and we also protect the host. When they have booked somewhere for 3 months and they only stay 1 month, we have worked out a system that allows both parties to feel validated and vindicated. The nurse won't feel like somebody robbed all her money, and the homeowner won't feel like they did not get any money, even because that person, but we have a system in place that works perfectly. And I want to add also that sometimes it's not even that the contract ends abruptly. I've seen where people have gone, like they're working in the ICU or a step down, and what happened is that even though you've done the EKG test, that exam, you have to do an on-site EKG test for the hospital also. And if you fail that, you have to pack your bags and go back.
Wow.
I've seen that at hospitals. Yes. You leave, you have sorted out your housing, you have done everything, and you're there, and the first day you get your test, you fail it, you have to go. In those circumstances, we have processes on the platform that takes care of that also.
Wow. So I mean, if you're not competent is that what, or like what kind of an EKG? I've never actually heard of that. So EKG test, like you're going to perform an EKG, and if you're not competent in that,
no,
or
it's the EKG test that you do as an ICU nurse when you were going to ICU school. That you have to look at the rhythm, tell what rhythm.
Oh, I see.
All of those things.
Okay, so like a competency test.
Yes. So
Gotcha.
if you get less than 80, that's a fail.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I don't remember ever doing that. Maybe they didn't.
Yeah,
maybe they implemented that after I got started.
Some hospitals do it, and I've seen nurses bawl their eyes out because they have it's done before you even started.
Wow,
You
that's
know, and
crazy.
I've seen it, so I know, and we have taken that into consideration too.
Yeah, that's crazy. And the other thing that I love too about what you're doing is the fact that, like you said, this is not a vacation home. These are not, locations that people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to visit Akron, Ohio. Woohoo, but they're necessary locations to hospitals and easy access. So I think that that's really key as well. Hey, future CRNA, popping in to share some CSBA love. CSBA is the way. CSBA has been amazing in more than one way. From the moment I signed up, I was met with so many resources to allow me to be successful in multiple areas of applying to CRNA school. I utilized every phase that CSBA offers, scheduled mock interviews, did essays, resume reviews, every step of the way. They helped me increase my confidence, and I can proudly say I have been accepted to CRNA school. I would recommend CSBA to anyone applying to CRNA school. Thank you, Lindsay, so very much. Congratulations. So excited for you. And for those of you listening, you can do it too. Your acceptance is right around the corner, and I'm rooting for you every step of the way. Thank you so much. And let's go ahead and get back into today's show. But I'm curious. I actually think, and I don't know if this is something that's already kind of developing, but I could see this becoming kind of like a community where, you can also equally share in connecting fellow travelers to help navigate it's a challenging role to fill, to be thrown in kind of like the fire, the wolf's den. So being able to kind of buddy up and know that you're around and surrounded in a community of other travel nurses, I think would be really huge as well.
Yes, that's a great idea, and that is something that we can definitely work on. But we always say that it's a community of healthcare professionals and homeowners that are helping healthcare professionals to come to their community, because and this is something that I want to debunk, because a lot of people look at this as, and this is how they advertise it. I don't know if you're aware, of course you are, that people look at nurses as cash cow. I don't know what we did, I don't know what we said, but they just feel like we have a lot of money,
Yeah, I don't
right?
know where that ever came from either. Good point. It's annoying to see it on social media.
Yes. So they want to have these high prices for their listing. I'm not against high prices because you have to pay your bills, but at the same time, you have to bear in mind that you want to make a profit, but at the same time, you want to be reasonable to the people that are renting, right? So you have to find a balance between both of them when you're putting a price on your property. Because in reality, what this means is that if you live in this community, you are a part of the community. I'm talking about the homeowner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are renting your house to someone that is going to come and serve your community.
Mm-hmm.
And if the difference between having safe staffing and having unsafe staffing is your house, right? And the difference between the nurse renting your house is the price. So you have to look a bit deeper into what you're doing when it comes on pricing than just looking at it like, oh, they have money, you have to be careful, because you can be helping to cause a short staffing in your hospital, because let's face it, it's your family that lives there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need to have the nurses, we need to have the doctors, we need to have the therapists, the sonographers, all of them, we need to have them. And the reality is that some of these communities don't have enough of these professionals living there, so there must have to be travelers.
I love that.
So it's just for us to think deeper when we think about renting to healthcare professionals.
Yeah, that's a great selling point, and one that I think would encourage a lot of homeowners to be like, yeah, of course. And I know we had mentioned when I talked to you on the phone before that a lot of the CRNAs and attending anesthesiologists that we work with have rental homes because this was a pain point for the students coming to rotate through our hospital. So, they offer, like, this is what I pay for my mortgage, go ahead and just cover my mortgage. They're not, again, it's not meant to be, but I mean, you can't expect people not to make any money from renting their property. But I think a lot of people would just see the cause and know that they want to do their part. So I think that's awesome. And honestly, if someone just paid your mortgage, that's still making money, because at the end of the day,
That's
your
huge.
asset.
That's
Yeah.
huge. huge.
Exactly. That's your
money that you
asset.
don't have to take out of your salary.
And that's growing
huge.
in value every year that you own it. So exactly. So I think that that's an amazing draw to doing this. And I'm curious, and I didn't ask you this, what locations, I guess, if nurses that are like, oh, this is amazing, I can't wait to check you out and see if you offer in my city or my location, where would that be at this moment?
We are nationwide, we're scattered, but the places that we have the most concentration, I want to say, let me start. I don't want to make, I'm going to miss some, but these are some. Atlanta, for one, Los Angeles area, San Diego area. We have in Dallas and Houston, Texas, some places in New York. I'm trying to remember. I know we have Phoenix, Arizona, but we grow every day. So I'm trying to remember, but I know that the California region, we do have a lot in California. We have in Arizona also, but the concentration is in those areas that I mentioned and a few more that I can't recall right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I
Okay.
even think this could be huge, like in rural areas too. Obviously, cities are kind of a
That's it.
hot spot, but rural areas, man,
That's it.
to get nurses to come to these locations. In fact, I think I shared with you, I was asked to go on a locum in Sharon, PA, and it is, it's a small town, very small. And that hospital is probably on the brink of going out, but it serves such a major role in that really rural community. Without it, the people that live there would really not have access to medical. So, and again, having me, hey, Jenny, come work this 12-week stint. I'm like, well, there's really no place around here that I would feel comfortable staying or even know to where to stay. So this could have a massive impact on rural communities just to be able to provide access to care. So that gives me goosebumps and chills because it's super exciting to think about. But I mean, I was commuting an hour each way just so I could go do that assignment.
Wow.
But yeah, having, access to NursesBnB in a small town like Sharon, PA would make a huge impact for the community of Sharon, PA. So kudos to you. This is wonderful. What else would you love to share about NursesBnB? And where can people find you, follow you, all those good things?
Yeah, so I can speak about that, but I just want to go back to your point of Sharon, PA. We're going to push this far and wide, and that was one of our things to ensure that the rural areas have coverage, because I grew up in a rural community, so I know what that is like. My sister was asthmatic, so I know what that is like. It was like 20 minutes to the main road. A asthma patient cannot walk. We had to get people to lift her up to take her to the main road, to take her to the hospital, with just like maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour away. So I totally understand and know what it's like in a rural community. And that's one of our passions also, to ensure that the rural communities really have the coverage that they need, because we cannot afford to let healthcare die. And it's not for the people at the top, it's for the people at the bottom.
Yeah.
They can go anywhere to get it, but the people at the bottom, they have to use what's close to them. Right? So that's what it's about. We're not going to cry here.
No, I mean, literally, just you are totally melting my heart. I just think this is great, and you're filling a void. And you're right, nurse. I'm so grateful that you, as a nurse, experienced IT nurse, are coming forward to do this. You have the insights, you have the knowledge, you know what the pain points are. You've lived them. You're currently living them. So I think this is so amazing, and just really just hats off to you. This is so exciting, and I'm glad I got to have you on the show. So everyone, you go check out NursesBnB. This is a huge solution to your pain point. We have so many travelers in our community. We have so many SRNAs, NARS who are out there having to do out of state clinical sites. So this is really earth shattering, I think, and a great opportunity. So yeah, definitely check out your website, which we'll link to in the show notes. But I would love for you to share how they can connect with you, Keisha. Yes. And learn more?
So we are on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram, and it's NursesBnB. I am on LinkedIn, I am Keisha M. And I am on Instagram. I need to revive my Instagram, guys. So
no worries, no pressure. We'll get you some followers from today's show.
We are on Facebook also, and we're on, oh gosh, I'm so bad with social media. What's that one? TikTok. Yes, we are called medium term housing on TikTok. So we are on TikTok also. And I want to mention also that I am gonna have an event coming up, and I'm gonna give you the information to put in the show notes about how to innovate in healthcare, right? I'm gonna be doing a free event, and I want the nurses to attend to understand what is there in front of them, and nobody will do it unless somebody stand up and do it, because guess what, they don't really care, they're not feeling it, so they don't know, they don't really care, right? They have their other problems to deal with. So it's for us to really stand up and take that baton and actually do the work. So I'm going to keep a free event, and I'm going to have the information for you, Jen, for you to put in the show notes. But yes, that's where you can find me, and go ahead and join the community, because we are going full speed ahead.
Awesome. No, I love this. And yeah, so you guys, it's nurses, plural, BnB. And I will definitely list all the good things in the show notes. That's really awesome. So this is a innovation healthcare webinar. You spoke a lot. I really resonate with the fact that you're like, yes, you got to fix problems that you were actively living. We got to stand up. We got to do it. I equally kind of felt that same like push and that pull. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, Jenny, will you start a business? I'd be like, no, me? Are you kidding me? Heck no. But like, here I am. And it's just because there was a problem that I felt like I have to solve this for my fellow nurses. I felt like if I don't do it, who will? And I knew uniquely that I could. Will it be easy? No. Will it be painful? Probably. But like you said, you got to do it, and we owe it to our fellow nurses, to ourselves, to be the ones to sign up. And what I've also seen too in my time being on LinkedIn and kind of exploring different business pathways, there are people out there trying to solve our problems, but they are not nurses, and they do not know. And guess what? They go out there and find nurses to pick their brains continuously so they can try to solve for our problem. But at the end of the day, it's not a nurse running the company. And I think that needs a change. And don't get me wrong, hats off to people out there. I mean, they're still trying to solve a problem. So kudos to them. But I want to empower nurses to be those people. You can be a CEO. Exactly. You can be a business owner. Yes, you can. Anything's learnable. Just download podcasts, binge the internet. Like, you can figure things out. Like, you figure out the bedside, you can figure out business. And so I love, like, just empower nurses to, yes, you can be a boss. You are a boss. You're already a boss. You're just a boss in the medical setting. So just turn it into a business setting. So yeah, I would love to empower people listening to that. Yes, you can. And kudos to you, Keisha, and you're just a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much for being on our show. I'm so excited to stay in touch with you and see how things go. And also here to be a beacon of light to help you in that mission that you're on. So
thank you.
Hey, future CRNA, as always, I appreciate you and your loyalty. Thank you so very much for tuning in this week. I'd love to hear from you, so screenshot this episode and share it to your IG stories with your biggest takeaway. Don't forget to tag me at CRNA School Prep Academy so I can personally thank you. Be sure to head over to CRNASchoolPrepAcademy.com to check out our blog and gather free resources to help you along your CRNA journey. Stay strong, and I'll see you next week.